This is the Amazon listing for Can Su, a 2024 American Literary Prize laureate. Despite her critical acclaim, her translated works hold modest commercial traction, with a sales rank trailing behind the top 600,000 and fewer than 50 reader reviews. Compare that to the digital footprint of a leading Chinese web novel. On platforms like Kidian International, a single title can amass over 47 million views, contributing to a global market of 230 million users and billions in revenue. Traditional print literature relies on institutional prestige and physical book markets, systems currently facing barriers like cultural discount and Western-centric literary canons. Web novels utilize a digital-native, mobile-first distribution model, optimized for scalability and direct accessibility. This disparity suggests that the current divide between autonomous art and market-driven entertainment is a structural bottleneck. Global reach in the digital age requires a model that can reconcile high-level narrative depth with this kind of mass-market accessibility. Serialized since 2018, Lord of the Mysteries operates as a rigidly structured universe. It moves beyond the disposable nature of typical web fiction by utilizing a multi-layered framework of mystery and Victorian-inspired history. We can identify the specific mechanical engines that allow this story to bridge the gap between popularity and complexity. The first is strategic cultural hybridization, the use of familiar Western aesthetics to carry native philosophies. The second is hyperdiegesis, a rigorously interconnected fictional system where the rules of the world dictate the progression of the plot. Analyzing these two systems reveals how a web novel can maintain its cultural identity while successfully scaling for an international audience. Any translated work faces cognitive friction, the mental effort required for a foreign audience to process unfamiliar cultural shorthands and metaphors. Lord of the Mysteries reduces this friction by adopting neo-Victorian industrialism and Lovecraftian cosmic horror. It uses the exact pulp shorthand of 19th century penny dreadfuls to establish an immediate, legible atmosphere for Western readers. This Western aesthetic serves as a shell. It conceals a narrative engine rooted in Shanxia, the Chinese genre of Taoist cultivation. The novel repackages the Taoist concept of internal cultivation into sequence potion advancements. By turning spiritual growth into a series of literal chemical formulas, the author makes a specific Eastern trope universally accessible. The translation team mirrors this strategy in the prose. The Chinese idiom for being trapped in a difficult situation, riding a tiger, is localized as a Sisyphean predicament, replacing the original cultural reference with a Greek myth familiar to Western cognitive frames. Cultural hybridization functions as a structural bridge. It allows the story to bypass interpretive barriers while preserving the complexity of its native philosophies. The world building within this hybrid setting relies on cognitive mapping, the use of rigorous socioeconomic detail to ground the reader's understanding of the Loen Kingdom. The novel details an E-type income tax table with mathematical precision. Rates scale from 0 for those earning under £1 a week, up to 20% for high earners. Logistics are equally defined. While a luxury train ticket costs 15 solely, the working class is restricted to horse-drawn carriages on fixed rails. These transport costs and routes are permanent fixtures that dictate how and where characters can move. This extends to education, where expensive public grammar schools, the gateway to universities, are contrasted with nighttime free schools run by charities, using a specific tutorial system for the poor. These rules dictate character agency. Protagonists operate within the constraints of train schedules, tuition fees, and fixed salaries. By making socioeconomic scaffolding a narrative agent, the story can perform allegorical critiques of industrial capitalism that feel earned by the logic of the world. This systemic approach carries over into the magical cosmology, which is organized into a strict taxonomy of 22 pathways. This hierarchy follows unbending requirements. To reach sequence 0, or true godhood, a being must systematically accommodate the unique characteristics and authorities of their specific pathway. This is a zero-sum universe. Because each pathway has only one uniqueness, there can be only one true god per pathway at any given time. Ascension for one requires the elimination of all other high-sequence competitors. Advancement brings the threat of corruption. To maintain sanity at higher levels, characters must complete an apotheosis ritual, a specific narrative anchor that prevents them from losing control to the origin of their power. At the apex of this cosmology are the Great Old Ones and 3 active pillars. These beings govern foundational concepts like life, space-time, and destruction, acting as the ultimate boundary for power within the system. By imposing strict mathematical limitations and scarcity, the novel generates tension through the rules themselves. Scarcity proves more narrative efficient than boundless magical potential. The collision of Loen's social realism and this cosmic taxonomy creates what is known as typicality and realism. The fantastical elements have concrete, measurable consequences on the world. The Great Smog of Backland exemplifies this collision. It uses the historical reality of 1952 London as a frame for a disaster that is both industrial and supernatural. While the smog is a state-engineered event driven by high-sequence entities, it is executed through grim industrial mechanics. It is a cosmic machination with a physical, choking presence. The human cost is shown through characters like Old Kohler. A factory worker living on the edge of poverty, he is not killed by a magical spell, but by the physical reality of the smog. The author uses narrative deceleration to focus on this proletarian struggle. This choice contrasts with the rapid, action-oriented pacing usually found in serialized fiction. Because the cosmic battles are tied to the socio-economic logic established in Act 2, they result in measurable consequences for the characters. This structure executes Bakhtinian biologism, the interanimation of high-level philosophical concepts and mass-market genre entertainment. Traditional literature's reliance on institutional validation is failing to engage a globalized digital audience. The success of web fiction suggests that distribution models matter as much as content. Digital native distribution allows for algorithmic discoverability and democratized access, removing the traditional gatekeepers of the literary world. But accessibility alone cannot sustain international interest. Cross-cultural endurance requires the depth of a writerly text, a story that demands active engagement from the reader. Literary vitality in the digital age depends on creating worlds that are systemic enough for readers to decode and emotionally grounded enough to resonate across cultural borders. To maintain relevance in this new era, traditional literature may need to adopt techniques like transmedia storytelling and hyperdiegetic world-building. For web fiction, the path forward involves evolving from ephemeral entertainment into rigorous, systemic art. The divide between high-level literature and mass-market entertainment is closing. Global resonance now requires a combination of intellectual rigor and digital native accessibility.